The trailer opens and instantly you feel it. This is not just another season of Cobra Kai. This is the endgame. Every glance, every punch, every line of dialogue in the footage screams final showdown. But hidden inside the fast cuts and the intense music are clues. Clues about who will rise, who will fall, and how the story of Cobra Kai is about to come full circle. So let's slow down, frame by frame, and uncover what the trailer is really telling us. Asterisk, the first thing that jumps out from the Cobra Kai Season 7 trailer is not a fight, not a character, not even a line of dialogue. It's the feeling. From the very first shot, the tone is darker, heavier, and more serious than any season before. This isn't about teenage rivalries anymore. This is about legacy, redemption, and survival. The music alone sets the mood. Deeper bass, haunting guitar riffs, and a pacing that feels like the clock is ticking down on everyone. Take a closer look at the way the trailer is cut. Unlike earlier seasons, where the editing had a playful energy, quick cuts, upbeat rock tracks, moments of humor mixed with intensity, Season 7 feels stripped down. The lighting is dimmer, the colors are sharper, and the camera lingers longer on the characters' faces. These are not just fighters anymore. These are warriors about to enter their last battle. Every frame reminds us that the story is closing in on its final chapter. One of the clearest examples of this shift is in the way Daniel and Johnny are shown. In past trailers, their rivalry was highlighted with banter, jokes, or even eye rolls. Here, there's no space for comedy. Their faces are hardened, their expressions almost tired, but still determined. It's the look of two men who know the weight of what's coming. For the first time in the series, they're not just allies out of convenience, they're allies out of necessity. And the trailer makes sure we feel that pressure. The students also reflect this darker tone. Miguel, usually the hopeful and steady fighter, is shown training harder than ever, sweat dripping, his movements more aggressive. Samantha looks focused, not afraid, but ready, like she knows this will be her final test. Hawk, who's always had the most flamboyant energy, appears more serious, less flashy, as if he understands that this fight won't be won with style but with grit. Even Tory, who has been torn between loyalty and doing the right thing, carries a haunted look in her eyes, almost like she's preparing for consequences she can't avoid. And then there's the way the villains are teased. We don't get long looks at them, but just enough to know they are lurking. Kreese's shadow literally falls across one of the scenes, his presence like a storm cloud you can't escape. The trailer doesn't need to show him shouting or fighting, it only needs to remind us that he's out there, pulling strings, waiting for the right moment. That kind of storytelling choice builds suspense. It's less about the action and more about the anticipation. Another detail worth pointing out is the use of location. Earlier seasons were filled with bright California sunshine, school halls, malls, and ordinary teenage settings that reminded us this was still a coming-of-age story. Season 7's trailer flips that on its head. We see darker dojos, night training sessions, and even glimpses of fights in shadowy arenas. It feels less like high school drama and more like a war movie. The message is clear, the fun is over, the reckoning has arrived, and let's not ignore the editing rhythm. Quick flashes of fists, kicks, and confrontations are broken up by silent, lingering moments, close-ups on faces, eyes filled with doubt or fear or maybe even regret. This technique builds a rhythm where the audience is constantly on edge, waiting for the explosion of violence that the silence promises. The trailer is telling us, yes, there will be action, but the story is about more than just action. It's about decisions, consequences, and the cost of every move these characters make. Perhaps the strongest sign of the finality of this season is the tagline hinted at in the trailer. The words "every rivalry has an ending" flash across the screen. This is more than marketing, it's a promise. The creators are not leaving any loose ends. Season 7 is not just another chapter. It's the last stand, the climax of years of conflict. And the trailer atmosphere drives that home perfectly. So, if you felt goosebumps watching it, that's because the showrunners wanted you to. They wanted you to feel the weight, the seriousness, the tension. Season 7 will not be about who wins a school fight or who takes home a trophy. It will be about legacies clashing, old wounds reopening, and final decisions being made. That's the atmosphere. That's the tone. And the trailer sets it with perfection. Asterisk, the real power of the Cobra Kai Season 7 trailer doesn't just come from its mood, it comes from the little flashes of story packed inside the footage. Blink and you'll miss them. But when you slow it down, frame by frame, a bigger picture begins to form. Every second is loaded with meaning. And it's in these moments that the trailer gives us a map of where the story might go. The first standout moment is a shot of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence standing side by side. This isn't just another team-up scene. It feels like a full-circle moment. For decades, their relationship has been defined by rivalry, miscommunication, and bitterness. But here, the way they stand, the way they look forward instead of at each other, it suggests acceptance. They may not be friends in the traditional sense, but they've become brothers in battle. The trailer hints that their unity is the backbone of the final season. Without it, everything else collapses. Then there's Miguel. For 6 seasons, Miguel has been the heart of the student storyline, the quiet leader, the fighter who always balanced skill with compassion. The trailer shows him pushing himself harder than ever before. Sweat drips, his kicks snap through the air with urgency, and his face carries a weight we haven't seen before. This isn't Miguel training for a tournament. This is Miguel preparing for a war. One particular shot, where he clenches his fist as if readying for the biggest fight of his life, tells us that his journey is about to reach its most dangerous point. But Miguel isn't the only one under the spotlight. Samantha's presence in the trailer is short but powerful. We see her sparring in dim light, her face serious, her movement sharp and controlled. For years, Sam's arc has been about balancing her father's legacy with her own identity. In Season 7, the trailer suggests she might finally step out of Daniel's shadow, not as his daughter, but as a fighter who carries her own destiny. The camera lingers on her expression longer than usual, almost inviting us to wonder, will she be the one to close the circle? Hawk, on the other hand, is shown differently than before. Known for his wild style, confidence, and colorful personality, Hawk is now seen with a more restrained energy. His mohawk is still there, but the wild grin is gone. Instead, there's focus, almost tension. A single shot shows him looking down, jaw tight, as though he's wrestling with a choice. Could Hawk be preparing for a personal sacrifice? Or will he finally prove that he's more than just a flashy fighter? The trailer suggests Hawk's story may be heading toward a defining test of loyalty, and then we have Tory Nichols. Her scenes are some of the most cryptic, yet they carry some of the biggest emotional weight. Tory is shown standing alone in a dojo, looking at her reflection. It's a simple image but powerful. For a character who has been pulled back and forth between Kreese, Silver, and her own sense of right and wrong, this shot feels symbolic. She's questioning herself, questioning who she is when the fighting stops. But when the camera cuts to her fighting again, her strikes are brutal, relentless. This duality, doubt, and ferocity sets Tory up as one of the most unpredictable players in the final season. The villains, of course, make their presence known. Kreese appears briefly, his silhouette moving in the shadows, his face revealed, for just a second with a cold, unreadable expression. That's enough. The trailer doesn't need him to say a word. Just knowing he's alive, free, and plotting is enough to send chills down the spine. Terry Silver's name isn't shouted in the trailer, but his legacy lingers. Even in defeat, Silver's shadow looms large. Shots of Cobra Kai students training with intensity suggest his influence hasn't been erased. Evil doesn't vanish, it adapts. One of the biggest surprises in the trailer is the glimpse of new faces. We see a split second of unfamiliar fighters, moving with precision and skill, suggesting Cobra Kai is recruiting beyond what we know. Are these international competitors? Are they the result of Kreese's connections outside the Valley? This raises the stakes beyond local grudges, it feels global. The trailer makes it clear, this fight is no longer just about the Valley. Cobra Kai's reach might be stretching further than ever. Another detail worth noting is Chozen. Though he doesn't dominate the trailer, his presence is unmistakable. A single shot shows him training with intensity, his movements sharp, his demeanor unshaken. Chozen brings a different kind of energy compared to Daniel and Johnny. He carries honor, discipline, and a calmness that balances their chaos. The trailer almost hints at him being a secret weapon fighter who can bring an edge no one else has. And finally, there are the moments of silence. Shots of characters sitting alone, staring at trophies, photographs, or empty dojos. These, quiet images are just as powerful as the fights. They remind us that this isn't just about winning matches. It's about closure. It's about saying goodbye to rivalries, to mistakes, to lost time. The first episode of Cobra Kai's final season will be more than just a return to the valley. It will be the spark that lights the fire for everything that follows. If we study the trailer carefully, we can start piecing together where episode 1 is headed and why it will set the stage for the biggest showdown. In the franchise's history, the most likely opening scene is Fallout. Season 6 ended with betrayals, shifting loyalties, and Kreese slipping back into the shadows. Episode 1 almost certainly begins in the aftermath characters, waking up to the reality that their battles have consequences beyond trophies or bruises. The camera may open on Daniel and Johnny, not as rivals, but as commanders surveying the field. These men know that every move from here on is a step toward the last fight of their lives. The trailer's heavy tone suggests that the very first episode will make that clear. We can expect episode 1 to showcase training, but not the kind of training we've seen before. No playful montages, no wax-on, wax-off nostalgia moments. This will be military-style preparation, the kind of training that feels urgent because the stakes are bigger than ever. Miguel's shots in the trailer, his kicks landing with brutal precision, sweat pouring down his face, are almost certainly from early in the season. Episode 1 will likely show Miguel stepping into a leadership role, pushing himself not for a medal, but to protect everyone around him. On the other side, Tory's journey could take a different path. A key prediction is that episode 1 will explore her torn loyalty. In the trailer, her moment of reflection in the dojo feels like an early beat in the story. Will she return to Cobra Kai out of obligation, or will she finally cut ties inside with Sam and Miguel? Her decision in episode 1 might not be final, but it will plant the seeds of her ultimate choice. And knowing Tory's history, this won't just affect her, it will ripple across every student caught between dojos. Hawk is another character the first episode will focus on. He's always been a wild card, sometimes comic relief, sometimes the surprise powerhouse in a fight. But in the trailer he looks different, thoughtful, weighed down. Episode 1 may reveal why. Perhaps he's questioning whether fighting defines him, or maybe he's bracing for a sacrifice he knows is coming. Imagine Hawk in episode 1 stepping up as a mentor to the younger fighters, only to realize that leadership demands more than winning, it demands responsibility. And then there's Samantha. Episode 1 will almost certainly give her one of the strongest openings she's ever had. The trailer's flashes of her sparring and focused expressions suggest that Sam is ready to break free from her father's shadow. She's not Daniel's daughter anymore. Episode 1 might open her arc by showing her as the emotional center of the younger generation, the one who balances Miguel's hope, Hawk's fire, and Tory's turmoil. Her storyline could begin with a decisive choice to stop following her father's path and instead carve her own. Of course, no prediction of episode 1 is complete without mentioning Kreese. The trailer only teases him, but that tease is enough. Episode 1 could very well end with Kreese reappearing in the valley, reminding everyone that their fight isn't over. The best guess? A chilling final scene, Kreese watching the students from a distance or approaching a new group of fighters we don't recognize. It would be the perfect cliffhanger for episode 1. A reminder that the snake always strikes when you least expect it, and let's not forget Chozen. His calm but fierce demeanor in the trailer suggests he'll appear early, possibly as a stabilizing presence when Daniel and Johnny clash over strategy. Episode 1 might show him training the students in ways they've never experienced before, grounding them in discipline while everyone else focuses on raw strength. If Miguel is the heart, Hawk the fire, and Sam the balance, Chozen might be the wisdom. Episode 1 will likely establish him in that role right away. Another prediction revolves around the settings. The trailer gives glimpses of darker dojos and mysterious arenas. Episode 1 could introduce these spaces, showing us where the final battles will take place. A likely scenario is that Cobra Kai has expanded, maybe even opening new facilities beyond the valley. Episode 1 could hint at a global reach, teasing that this fight is no longer local but international. That would explain the glimpse of unfamiliar fighters in the trailer. And finally, Episode 1 will almost certainly remind us of what's at stake. Not just physically, but emotionally. Expect quiet moments, Johnny reflecting on his mistakes as a father, Daniel looking at old photos of Miyagi, Tory sitting alone in the dojo mirror. These moments aren't filler, they're the soul of the story. The first episode will remind us that karate is just the battlefield. The real fight is for redemption, identity, and legacy. So, when Episode 1 ends, don't expect resolution. Expect ignition. Expect the first domino to fall, setting into motion a season where every character is forced to face who they really are. The trailer doesn't just promise action, it promises transformation. And Episode 1 will be the match that sets it all ablaze. Asterisk, if there's one thing Cobra Kai has always delivered, it's surprises. Every season, the show has pulled characters from the past, flipped storylines on their head, and given us moments we never thought we'd see. And with Season 7 being the final chapter, the fan theories are louder than ever. The trailer doesn't confirm much, but it leaves just enough breadcrumbs for speculation. Let's explore some of the biggest possibilities. One of the most popular theories is about Chozen. In Season 5, he became a fan favorite, proving himself as one of the strongest fighters in the series. In the trailer, he looks calm but intense, as though he's preparing for a major test. Many fans believe Chozen could face Kreese in the final showdown. Think about it, the disciplined, honorable warrior against the manipulative, relentless Snake. It would be a fight that not only excites fans, but also embodies the deeper themes of Cobra Kai honor versus corruption. Another theory gaining traction involves Tory. Her reflection scene in the trailer has sparked debates across the fandom. Some believe Tory will defect from Cobra Kai for good, fully joining Sam, Miguel, and the others. Others argue that she might act as a double agent, pretending to side with Cobra Kai while secretly feeding information back to Daniel and Johnny. This would be risky but dramatic, and it would give Tory one of the most layered arcs in the entire series. Then there's the long-running question, will Julie Pierce return? Played by Hilary Swank in the next Karate Kid, Julie is one of the last untouched pieces of the Karate Kid universe. The trailer doesn't show her, but fans believe the final season is the perfect time to bring her back. Imagine Julie arriving as a surprise mentor or ally, perhaps even crossing paths with Chozen. It would be a shocking but fitting way to tie all the Karate Kid lore into one conclusion. Let's not forget Miguel. Many fans speculate that Miguel could be the one to carry the legacy of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang forward. His role as the most balanced and level-headed fighter positions him as the natural successor. But others argue Hawk could be the true champion of the final season. Hawk has evolved from bullied Eli to fierce fighter, and giving him the last big win would be the ultimate redemption arc. The trailer keeps this answer hidden, but that's exactly why fans are debating it so fiercely. And finally, Kreese. His shadow in the trailer is enough to fuel dozens of theories. Some fans think he'll recruit an entirely new army of fighters, possibly international champions, to face Daniel and Johnny's students. Others believe Kreese's endgame is more personal, that he's not after trophies or glory, but revenge. A darker, more twisted theory suggests Kreese may even turn on the Cobra Kai students themselves, proving that his loyalty has always been only to himself. The beauty of the trailer is that it doesn't answer these questions, it plants them. And that's why Season 7 feels so unpredictable. Will Chozen and Kreese collide? Will Tory betray Cobra Kai or herself? Will Julie Pierce finally return to finish what she started decades ago? And who, in the end, will be remembered as the true champion? These aren't just fights, they're theories waiting to be proven, and every fan is placing their bets on how it will all end.